That's right. It's 9 o'clock. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the first 15 accountability party with me, Melinda B. Powers, founder and owner of Intentional Professionals. And thank you for being here with me this morning. I really appreciate you. What we do here is, hey, Errol, we we set goals, we celebrate wins, we get inspired, and it's just the place to be on a Monday morning, get you started for your week, get that engine going, and be in a positive mode. So, welcome, welcome, welcome once again. Um, so we're gonna get jump on in as usual. And I know I said there's gonna be some changes coming. Still working on that, so just be on the lookout, keep up with us, and see what's happening. So wins. So for me, my win from last week, I think, is about being open. I was open to doing some things differently and trying some new things that I've never really ventured into before. And I actually met some interesting people last week. I went to some events I wouldn't normally go to and ended up meeting some really influential people who had a very positive impression. They left a positive impression, rather, on me that gave me a lot to think about and got me excited. I think the summer was kind of busy and, there's a lot of fatigue kind of floating around. And I think that had an effect on me too. I traveled a little bit. So getting back into the rhythm of things and setting sights on quarter four. We're almost to the end of the year. It just seemed like it flew by, right? So that was the jolt that I needed last week. So I would say taking advantage of opportunities that were presented to me, and they were all pretty last minute, but when I learned about them, I jumped on them and I attended, and I ended up meeting some very influential folks that are going to be very helpful and instrumental in my journey coming up. So being open and just saying, what the heck, why not? Trying something new. All right. So I don't know, I guess Errol, you still around? Did you fall off? Not sure. All right. So anybody else that's watching, you can put your wins in the chat. Until then, we're gonna move on. So there's not a blog this week. Blog has been on hold. There are changes happening. Can't really announce yet, but there will be some adjustments to the blog. So this is more of a pep talk, and it's continued from my win. And I guess I'll say something particular. I went to a um, a city a city program here for small businesses, and they have this summit every year. Okay, you got something. All right, Aaron, what you got? Moved on to the next round of interview. Oh, congratulations. Awesome. I'm sure we'll talk. I know I'm going to see you this week. So awesome. Great. I hope that gets better and better for you. That's awesome. I know you've been patient. Um, so like I was saying, um, the particular win was going to this procurement event to do business with city entities that are large. And though I'm not my business is too new to apply for that particular program, some of the bigger entities still work with other small businesses that aren't in that program. So I had some one-on-one conversations with people who are in charge of the professional services procurement. So that was really good. Direct contacts. I was given a heads up on some things that are coming down the pipeline very soon that are good fits for intentional professionals. So that was a really good win. So I want to be a little more specific. I was very general. But anyway, back to the point. Um, I think it's just time to reevaluate when we get to quarter four. If you're, you know, really serious about what you're doing, you're evaluating what your year was, what your year was like so far, what you did, what worked, what didn't work, what you can adjust, what you're going to try that you haven't tried, or what you might want to adjust for 2024. Large companies some of them have been working on budgets for a month or so now. Small fries, you might be just getting into that come October. I know for me personally, every year around October, I just naturally feel the desire to start planning and plotting for the next year. I start setting my intentions for the following year. I do an exercise that I adapted from a program that I attended at our local chamber years ago, where I find 5 words that I want to define how I want to feel for that following year. These are like my target feelings and ways of being for that year. And I start thinking about that in October. Usually it just kind of comes over me. The weather's changing. Well, not here yet, but it will soon. Weather's changing. Things are slowing down, preparing for the holidays. And I get very reflective at this time of year in the fall. So I look forward to digging into that in the coming weeks, winding down and reevaluating all of the things that have happened for this year. So I'm encouraging you to start thinking about that and not waiting until December or January to decide what you're going to do for next year. That's a bit late. So start thinking about it now. You don't have to do anything necessarily, but just maybe jot down some thoughts, sit and reflect, do some research on some things you are interested in pursuing in the coming months or next year in your first quarter, but just kind of setting the tone that you're going to be more intentional about the year to come instead of just letting, being swept up in the present moment, whatever that may be, because that may not be where you're headed. So having the courage to take a minute and figure out what's going to work for you and what you're doing. That's super important. And I can't stress that enough. The times where I think I felt the most centered and the most on point is when I take the time to do that. And it feels right. I have to tune out some of the noise so that I can really hear myself and really feel where I am and where I want to go and what's stirring inside me and what is piquing my interest even on the outside. And there's a lot going on in the world, so I know that can be particularly hard with the kind of news cycles that we have. And if you're on social media, there's just something new popping up every day to be outraged about, or something silly, some silly trend going on to entertain you. And we can't really get caught up in that stuff. And I'm guilty of it. It happens to me every now and then. I try my best to stay out of it, but every now and then I get wrapped up in something. And so I've just learned not to beat myself up about that. I'm still human. I still need outlets. And I know it's particularly easier for me because I don't live with anybody. So I get my entertainment from the internet or from streaming or what have you. Oh, speaking of, I have to take a moment and acknowledge that both of my teams, my home team, the Detroit Lions, and my adopted home team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, both won their week 1 games. Let's give it up for them. The Lions, especially because they beat the reigning champions on their home opener. That's important. So we got to take a moment to acknowledge that for all our NFL football fans out there. I'm kind of I'm kicking myself a little bit because I turned the game on in the third quarter and there was like a 3-point difference, and there was a play where we didn't make the first down and I just turned it off. It's very tough being a Lions fan because we're very loyal, but it can hurt when they're not doing well. It can hurt so bad to just watch it. So I didn't want to do that to myself. I thought, I don't think I want to stay up late and feel like this any longer. I'm going to turn off and go to bed. And when I woke up, we won by 1 point. That was a great feeling, but I kind of wish I had stayed up and watched. So congratulations, Lions and Jaguars. Hopefully they can keep it up and we can make some differences in our respective divisions. Anyway, that was a big segue, but I had to say something about that. Very excited for them. So yeah, it's time to let's reflect and really think about opportunities we capitalize on, but also maybe some missed opportunities that we can take a different approach in next year. I think those are things worth thinking about because they don't just happen in a vacuum or by osmosis. You have to put some intentional action and effort towards them for them to happen. So if you feel like you missed out on some things this year and you could have been a little bit more intentional or diligent, figure out how you can attack from another angle next year. Maybe there's a different opportunity or a similar opportunity or the same opportunity. Sometimes opportunities do come back around. So don't count yourself out if you missed out on something once. That does not mean you're out for the count. Comeback story. We love a good comeback story in this country. So never be afraid to go after something again or to be be persistent about something because you never know what might happen. All right, so we've reached it already. It happened so quickly. The me time. So if you're new here, me time stands for most impactful item. Me, like Nintendo Wii, and it's basically our goal setting part of the call where we all set forth a goal that we want to attain for this week. It can be small, it can be large, it can be personal, it can be professional. It doesn't really matter. Whatever's important to you that would make you feel like you hung the moon this week if you got it done, that's what this is. So I'll start. I think for me, so I'm teaching a class. I shared that at university this semester, and I'm taking a bit of an unorthodox approach with how I'm teaching these students because they're very different. These Gen Zers are a little different. I know the college is not what it was when I was in it as a freshman, so I'm trying to be mindful of that as well. So we're going to have our first quiz this week, and I'm trying something different, something new, and I'm hoping that it works. So my goal is to pull off a successful quiz tomorrow for their first chapter of their book. And so please wish me luck because I am a little nervous. All right, Errol. Okay, for first board meeting, congratulations. That's awesome. Yes, and our LJ meetup is on Thursday. I'm looking forward to it too. You know, we're a very tight knit class and we like to see each other. So we've been doing that monthly. I've made all of them but one. I didn't make the first one because I had a previous meeting scheduled, but I've made the others. And I do my best to try to make all of them when I can. And thank you again for helping plan that. Errol is very instrumental in those events happening. So we appreciate Errol very much for that. And with that, I'm not going to really go any further. We don't have anybody else that joined us today. I'm going to have to hunt some people down, see what they're up to. But thank you, Errol, for joining. It's always a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll talk offline. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. Thank you, everyone, for watching, whether you're watching the recording or watching live and not participating. That's totally fine. There's no pressure here. But thank you for joining, and please join us next Monday, 9 a.m. to 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. And I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.